Global Touring Challenge Africa, or otherwise known as GTC Africa, is an arcade-style racing game that was released for the PlayStation in 2001 and developed by Rage Software. The game upon release did receive mixed reviews, according to critics, mainly down to the mixed element and unusual style that the game was going for. But the game itself didn't feel as well polished compared to other rally games that had been seen at the time on the PlayStation, as there was many issues with the likes of the graphics and just the general overall feel of the game, but at the same time still warranted enough regard in terms of its playable features, and was still proved to be quite popular due to its various driving styles and attributes that were seen at the time, as it focused on more of African events to drive on compared to your more mainstream rally style of games. One of the things that's notable straight away is the game does look decent for what is on offer. The tracks are very open-ended and almost like open world in style, but the handling physics of the car are what in most cases can somewhat let it down compared to other rally games, especially when you look at the game compared to the more mainstream entries in the rally genre with the likes of the Colin McRae series, even WRC, and among a couple of others. This game wouldn't be as well polished or well put together compared to those more iconic games, but it still does present a challenge. It definitely has something different and unique, but I will admit, even from my own experience, this is a tough game to get into, especially if you're a beginner coming into this game. It is difficult, there's no ifs or buts about it. You will find it very, very challenging, especially at the start to win races. It will definitely take you some time and require a lot of patience to get familiar with the gameplay style and especially the controls of the cars. Now, each of the cars do vary in terms of the handling characteristics, so it will take a while before you really find or become comfortable with any type of car that you're going to race as. Now, you will begin to win races in time, but just note that at different points the game will challenge you to a point that if you do make a mistake throughout a race, especially when you're racing against other opponents, sometimes the computer AI can be so aggressive that they get so far ahead of you that no matter what you do in the race, it's pretty much game over, literally from the start of the race. Sometimes you just don't even have a chance to win a race at all, so it can frustrate a lot of players. Now, the game does give you a variety of different challenges and time trial modes to contend with a variety of different types of tracks to complete in order to unlock additional tracks and different modes. But with the variety of cars that are available, it does present a challenge again, because all of the cars handle differently, and you do have access to cars in this game that wouldn't even be considered as rally cars, but yet you can play as them in this. And in some cases they're the only cars you do really have access to until you can unlock better cars in the game. But that in itself presents its own challenge, because again, the tracks, the modes and the gameplay style can be quite difficult for the average player or the casual player to come in and master. It is generally a very difficult game overall, and sometimes with the tracks it's hard to really know where each of the turns are, because the game doesn't really give you any sort of clear examples as to where you're supposed to stay on the track or where you're supposed to go on some of the tracks, so it can definitely confuse you in most respects. And even in some instances the collision detection can be quite poor, because you can be hitting stuff that looks like you can pass it but you actually can't, so that in itself can also throw a spanner in the works when you're trying to progress or to win races. So it is an okay title for what it does represent. Even looking back now, when you compare it to today's standards, the game hasn't really aged all that well in all respects to it. It is playable and it does offer a unique kind of experience for what is on offer, but it definitely would not be considered to be among the best rally games on the system. But it does present a different challenge all on its own. But if you do want to try out something that's different, you can have a look at this and see what you think, but I will admit it won't be for everybody, because it is very tough. It is a very challenging game to master. But I would love to know your thoughts on GTC Africa for the PlayStation 2, if you have played this game yourself, or did you own the game back in the day, and if so, what did you think of this game overall? Did you enjoy the experience, or maybe not so much? I'd love to hear whatever thoughts you do have of this game, so be sure to share it down in the comments below. And if you have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell to be updated of future videos. And if you would like to see other content on the channel around other types of rally games seen on the PlayStation 2, then you can check out the playlist on screen to see more of those games in action. And I will see you all in the next one.